What if I told you there's a tiny hidden part in your car that could be the real reason for rough idling, sluggish acceleration, and even that dreaded check engine light? It's called the mass airflow sensor, a piece most drivers have never even heard of. Mechanics know it well though, because it's one of their favorite ways to charge you hundreds of dollars for a replacement. But here's the secret: most of the time you don't need a new one at all. A quick, safe cleaning can bring your engine back to life. Smoother starts, sharper throttle, and better fuel use almost instantly. So stick with me, because in just minutes I'll show you exactly how to do it yourself. And if saving money on repairs sounds good, hit like and subscribe right now so you don't miss the next hack. What is the MAF sensor, why it matters? So let's start with the basics. What is this mysterious little device, and why does it matter so much? Think of your car like a person. Just like you need the right amount of air to breathe, your engine needs the perfect balance of air and fuel to run smoothly. That balance is constantly being measured, and the MAF sensor is the one calling the shots. In simple terms, it's your engine's air traffic controller. It sits quietly in the intake tube, right between your air filter box and the throttle body. Every time you press the gas, air rushes past this sensor. In a split second, it calculates exactly how much air is entering, then sends that data to your car's ECU, the computer brain. The ECU uses this info to decide how much fuel to inject. When the MAF is clean, the system works like a perfectly tuned orchestra, every note in harmony. But when dirt, dust, oil residue, or pollen coats that sensor, the music gets messy. The ECU starts making bad calculations, spraying either too much or too little fuel. That's when the problems start. Rough idle, weak acceleration, poor gas mileage, or even clouds of black smoke out the tailpipe. Now here's the kicker. A lot of drivers don't realize that a dirty MAF can make a perfectly healthy engine feel sick. They think they need new spark plugs, a fuel pump, or even a full tune-up. But in reality, the problem could be nothing more than this tiny neglected part. And here's where mechanics make money. Instead of spending 10 minutes cleaning it, they often recommend replacing it entirely, charging you anywhere from $240 to $550 depending on your car. That's why learning how to clean it yourself is a game changer. But before you run outside with a can of spray, you need to know how to spot the signs of a dirty MAF and how to avoid the expensive mistakes most DIYers make. Symptoms and red flags. So how do you even know if your MAF sensor is dirty? The truth is, your car will start dropping clues, but most drivers completely miss them. First clue, sluggish acceleration. You press the gas, but the car feels like it's dragging its feet, almost gasping for air. One of my customers once described it as, like the car is half asleep until it suddenly wakes up. That's a classic sign of a misreading MAF sensor. Second, rough idle or random stalling. Ever sit at a red light and feel your engine stumble or shake like it's about to cut off? That's because the ECU isn't getting the right airflow numbers, so it's fueling the engine all wrong. Third, terrible fuel economy. Imagine filling your tank on Friday and realizing it's nearly gone by Sunday, even though you drove the same route. That's the MAF making your engine run rich, burning more fuel than necessary. I'll never forget one case in my shop. A Corolla owner came in, furious that his car was burning through gas like a V8 truck. The dealer had quoted him almost $480 for a new sensor. Instead, we cleaned it in under 15 minutes with a $112 spray, and his fuel economy shot right back up. That's how powerful this tiny fix can be. Fourth, black smoke or fuel smell from the exhaust. That's unburnt fuel escaping, literally money going up in smoke. And of course the big one, the check engine light. Codes like P0101 or P0102 often point straight to the airflow sensor. Prep mini myth-busting moment. A lot of drivers think, oh, I'll just disconnect the battery, reset the computer, and the problem will go away. But here's the truth. Resetting the ECU doesn't clean the dirt. All you're doing is clearing the warning light temporarily. As soon as you start driving again, the bad readings return, and boom, the light's back on. So if you're noticing any of these red flags, it doesn't always mean an expensive repair. In fact, most of the time, a simple cleaning can bring the sensor back to life. But before you grab tools, let me show you the critical mistakes to avoid, because one wrong move here can destroy the sensor completely. Tools and deadly mistakes. Now before we jump into cleaning, let's talk tools, and more importantly, the traps that ruin this job for most DIYers. The good news, you don't need a full toolbox. All you'll need are a screwdriver or a small socket wrench to loosen the clamp, a clean cloth to set the sensor on, and the star of the show, a dedicated mass airflow sensor cleaner spray. That's it, 4 simple things. But here's the part mechanics don't warn you about. Using the wrong product can kill the sensor instantly. Never use WD-40. Never use brake cleaner, carburetor spray, or throttle body clean. They leave residues that coat the sensor and make it read even worse. Or they strip protective coatings and destroy the delicate wires inside. Another deadly mistake, touching the hot wires. Inside the sensor are hair-thin elements that measure airflow. If you poke them with a cotton swab or wipe them with a rag, it's game over. Once bent or scratched, the sensor can't be saved. And one more trap, blasting it with compressed air. I know it's tempting, but that sudden high-pressure blast is enough to snap the element. So here's the rule. The less contact, the better. Let the spray do the work, nothing else. And here's another myth I hear all the time. If you've got a fresh air filter, your math is safe. The truth, even the best filters still let through microscopic dust, oil mist, or pollen. Over months of driving, all of that builds up right on the sensor. So even with a brand new filter, your math can still get dirty, and still need clean. Now that you know what to use, and what to avoid, let's move on to the real money-saving hack, removing the sensor safely, so you can actually clean it. Quick pause, hit like if this is useful, and subscribe for more car-saving hack. The secret cleaning hack. Alright, here's the moment you've been waiting for. The secret cleaning hack. The actual cleaning hack that most mechanics keep to themselves. Step 1. Locate the sensor. Open your hood and find the air filter box. From there, follow the intake tube that leads to the throttle body. Right along that tube, you'll spot the mass airflow sensor. It's usually a small rectangular piece, with a plug and a couple of screws or clamps holding it in place. Step 2. Disconnect it safely. First, unplug the electrical connector. Press the tab and pull straight out. Never yank on the wires. Next, use a screwdriver or small socket to loosen the clamp or bolts holding the sensor. Gently twist and lift it out. Remember, don't rush. One broken clip and you've just created a new headache. Critical warning. Inside this sensor are hair-thin hot wires. They're more delicate than a strand of hair. Don't touch them, don't poke them. Don't even think about wiping them. If you do, you'll ruin the sensor completely. Step 3. Clean. Grab your can of mass airflow sensor cleaner and attach the little straw nozzle. Hold the sensor upright, about 4 to 5 inches, 10 to 12 centimeters away. Spray in short, controlled bursts, not one long blast. Rotate the sensor and spray from multiple angles, making sure the thin wires or film inside get completely rinsed. About 10-15 sprays total is usually enough. Step 4. Let it dry. Place the sensor on a clean cloth or paper towel, and leave it alone for at least 5 minutes. Don't try to speed things up with a hairdryer or compressed air. Both can cause permanent damage. Just let it air dry naturally. Pro tip, if you're short on time, set the sensor on a raised surface, so air can circulate from all sides. That helps it dry faster and more even. And that's it. The actual cleaning process is that simple. No fancy tools, no hidden tricks, just precision, patience, and the right cleaner. But here's the fun part. Once you reinstall it and start your car, you'll immediately know if it worked. And that's exactly what we'll cover next. Reinstalling and results. Now that the sensor is fully dry, it's time to put it back where it belongs. Carefully slide the math sensor into its original spot on the intake tube. Look for the small arrow printed on the sensor body. It must always point in the direction of the airflow, toward the engine. Line it up, tighten the clamp or screws, and reconnect the electrical plug until you hear a solid click. Once everything is secured, start your car. The difference is often instant. The engine should idle smoother, with less vibration. Tap the gas pedal lightly. The throttle response will feel sharper, without the hesitation you had before. And over the next few drives, you'll notice your fuel economy creeping back to where it should be. It's a small change that feels like magic. One of my favorite moments is watching drivers' faces when they realize their sick engine just needed a 10-minute cleaning job. Mechanics would have charged them hundreds, but you just saved that cash with a 10. But what if you've done everything right and your car still runs rough? Don't worry, that doesn't always mean you failed. In fact, this is where most drivers get confused, and knowing the truth could save you from wasting even more money. When not to clean. Now, before we move on, let me give you a quick warning. There are times when cleaning won't save your math. If you look inside and see the wires are visibly burnt, broken, or even missing, no spray in the world will fix it. Another sign, if you've cleaned it properly 2 times and the car still shows the exact same symptoms, rough idle, bad fuel economy, or the check engine light instantly returning, it's time to stop. At that point, the sensor isn't dirty, it's simply worn out. When that happens, the only real solution is replacement. Trying to keep spraying it over and over won't bring it back. When cleaning isn't enough. So here's the truth. Cleaning a mass airflow sensor works most of the time, but not always. And this is the part mechanics never explain. If you've cleaned it properly and your car still shows the same symptoms, rough idle, poor acceleration, or that stubborn check engine light, it could mean the sensor itself is already failing. Those hair-thin wires inside wear out over time, especially on high-mileage cars. Once they're burnt or broken, no amount of spray will bring them back. Here's a quick test you can try. With the engine running, unplug the MAF sensor's electrical connector. If the car stalls, that means the sensor is still alive and your cleaning probably helped. If the car keeps running with no change, that's usually a sign the sensor has gone bad. At that point, replacement is the only option. Replacement costs vary by car, anywhere from $240. Cheap knockoffs might seem tempting, but they often fail within months, putting you right back where you started. The final thought, the bigger point is this: by learning how to clean it yourself, you've already saved money, extended your engine's life, and gained control over a part most drivers don't even know exists. Think about it. You just invested about 10 minutes, and less than 15. Compare that to a $300 and $500 dealer replacement, and you'll see why this hack is so powerful. That's hundreds of dollars staying in your pocket, all from a simple DIY trick. And if you really want to make your car last, this is just the beginning. In my next video, I'll reveal 17 simple habits to push your car past 500,000 miles without major repairs. Trust me, these are secrets mechanics never share, because they'd rather keep you coming back. So if this hack saved you money, hit that like button, subscribe for more insider tips, and go watch that video next. Because keeping your car alive for 500,000 miles is easier than you think.